dude. Anybody who watches this and goes to the White Sox game, we'll do a group Tony La Russa experience and just get blacked out and try to manage the game from our section. See what he kind of goes through.
Yeah, just like test what his day's like.
Before I yell at him anymore, just understand what he's trying to manage.
Like, you don't understand how hard it is to manage a baseball team when you're hammered drunk. All right.
Thank you for listening to Shy Sox Talk with your hosts, Chris and Matt, your weekly place for White Sox fan reactions. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Shy Sox Talk. My name is Chris, as always here with my co-host Matt. How are you tonight?
I'm feeling great. Getting real excited for start of the season here. Would have loved for it to have already started, but we'll take what we can get.
9 days. 9 more days. Life without baseball. So, let's go. And, and then we can spend like 2 hours at our work day, just kind of doing product
just like
research.
watching baseball.
I'm doing product research right now. It's very important, all right? I have to get this product down. So tonight, season's right around the corner, so we figured we'll do a pitcher preview for the 2022 season. We do have kind of a question that connects with our show tonight. It comes from our listener Ben. Boy, Ben. Benny boy. How would you fix the Dallas Keuchel situation? Would you leave him as fifth starter for a month, or would you bring him out of the bullpen and every fifth day use a split between Raylo and Garrett Crochet?
I kind of like that second option, but I think they're paying him too much to not try and see if he's got anything left.
$18 million is a big number.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe he can find it. He's got to have something in there. He wasn't horrible the whole season last year, right?
Towards the end, I think it was like the second half of the year where the wheels really started to kind of.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe see if we can get the first half out of him and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Give him like a month, and if it's
like, unless he can't do it, then kind of cut ties.
If it's like a 40, you're leaving 55, 85 mile per hour cutters in the middle of the plate, and they're just getting hammered. Like, then
you gotta
bring him out of the bullpen as a long relief guy, I guess, if you're getting blown out early. But I don't hate the idea of trying to stretch out Crochet a little bit, though. Like, maybe piggyback him like Dallas for an inning or two, and then Crochet Raylo kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, my only issue is that it kind of weakens your bullpen because he's probably your best lefty, and he's pretty shut down.
Yeah, he's nasty. Some people might say he's pretty nasty.
He's a naughty boy when he's on the mound.
Naughty boy from Tennessee up in the mountains.
Yeah, just hucking it, throwing
100 miles per hour.
As they say, you could throw a strawberry through a battleship.
I've never heard that in my entire life.
Well, you must not be listening.
Are you a boomer? I remember when Hawk used to say that in 1961 when I was watching.
I don't know who said that. I forget who said it. Someone said it about Josh Allen.
Oh, I've unfortunately don't watch enough Bills Mafia football, but they're getting a new stadium and it looks insane. So go play baseball. Go put it like a professional team in Buffalo so we can go watch at that football stadium.
I'm in on that.
All day. I don't know why I just thought of this, but did you ever see the picture at Oakland? How far third is actually away from first?
No.
It's like a 40-yard throw.
Interesting.
Like, it just doesn't seem that big, like when you don't put yard. But that put a lot of in retrospect for me. What third basemen are doing.
Guess that makes sense.
Yeah, like how hard that throw actually is now. Like in my head, every time it happens, whoever it is, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, too bad Yohan Moncada, he's not good, apparently.
Yeah, I got into a spirited debate with somebody last night at the dog run at my building. I had my White Sox hat on, and he was like, "Oh, are you Sox fan?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Man, I hope Yohan figures it out." And I was like, "What do you mean? Where figures out where?"
He's good. He's a good player already. If he gets better, he's going to be amazing. Like
MVP almost,
Yeah.
like at that point, figures it out. You want this not third best WAR in Major League Baseball and you're hot corner, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets the power numbers up, he's going to be like one of the most valuable players in majors.
Yeah,
and he signed that extension too. So
got him locked up.
Loy, Luis, and Yohan early, and Tim.
Man.
So, they got bargains on those guys.
Yeah. I wanted to be like, you know what? You're not allowed to comment on any of the White Sox players until you've gone through a full course on.
You take your dog somewhere else.
Walk down the street. You're not allowed on the 5th floor anymore, buddy. Like, oh my God, it made me so upset. So if you're watching this guy in my building, I purposely didn't ask you your name because
do make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, make sure you like, subscribe on our social. Email us. I don't think I've ever checked our email, but if you did, and we'll debate. He said we could just recreate him in right field. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah,
all right.
Okay, yeah. Why? I don't know why the Sox didn't think of that. Just trade him for a right fielder that's like 3rd in WAR in their position in the league. Like, I don't know, like Aaron Judge. Yeah, that's easy.
Third base is easy to replace.
It's easy to replace. No things even hit over there.
Yeah, it's a shift the whole time. You don't even need a third baseman.
Yeah, just shift. And when it's a right-handed guy, still shift the other way. He's going to go opposite field. Done. Yeah, so, Guy, what your name is, not a fan of you, but hopefully you're a fan of us. Sick. So, kind of going into our pitching preview for the 2022 season, the White Sox got some guys that could help. And, I feel like we might share a similar opinion on this, but your pitching staff is really what puts away a World Series, like championship.
Oh, yeah, you got to be able to pitch. You got to be able to pitch.
And I think they got some dudes on this roster. You know what I mean? So we can kind of go, guy by guy, and let's just talk about it. We'll just talk it out. Talk it out.
Yeah, we'll just
wrap.
We'll just rap on it. There's a couple dudes. Yeah, we got some dudes. The bottom of the pitching staff has got quite big question marks, but I think one of them is a dude though. I think Michael Kopech, as long as his arm holds up, he's gonna be a good player.
It's gonna be really good.
His pitches have so much movement on it. Like, it's pretty even just his straight fastball, it's got a lot of drift on it, which is pretty sweet. So I think he's going to be all right. Keuchel, I'm pretty worried about, not going to lie, but it wouldn't be the first. You don't need to have 5 studs to win.
Just need 4.
You need to have 4 studs if you it's bad.
I mean, even in the postseason, though, you're only rolling 4 guys. Like, granted, I know you have to get there first, but I don't see a way unless there's like a total meltdown where this team doesn't get to October at least. And Kopech, you're talking about top end. If he plays well, that's like a 4th ace level pitcher that could potentially be on the staff this year and like finish in the top 15 of Cy Young voting.
Yep, and Lucas goes even without saying these days. He's the ace of your staff. He's a stud. He's an absolute beast.
Lucas last year, just kind of look at some of the stats. Last season he had, pull it up here, 3.53 ERA, 31 games, and 178 and 2/3 innings pitched. That's ace level.
He's a workhorse, and he got really unlucky with home runs last year. Like, really unlucky.
Yeah,
like he had a couple of games where like just fly balls kept drifting on him and got out somehow.
And if you look at his like record, and you might see 11-9, you think like, oh, it's like barely 500. I think if you went back and actually watched games, I think he got. I don't know if unlucky is the right word with his matchups, but he had, I think, probably the most tightly contested games. Like there was a game he threw 8 innings against Shane Bieber and the Indians, and he didn't get the win. Like he got a no decision that night. You know what I mean? Like just felt like a lot of games.
Pitching wins are kind of,
lame.
Don't pay attention to them unless you're 67 years old.
That's
and then we got Dylan Cease here. Dylan Cease pitched pretty good today, I think, unless by the time I've said this, he started throwing the ball away. But he's always kind of had that like ace profile, and he throws it really hard, and he's got tons of movement on his pitches, and he's really good at getting the head in the count. And like that's been a struggle. It's just like, I'm ahead in the count. Let's punch this guy out. I think he has had a tendency to kind of overpitch in those situations early in his career. But he had that stretch last year where he kind of really put it together. And I think we're going to see that more often. I think he'll have some inconsistencies just because of the way he pitches. You can kind of lose the touch with all those breaking balls. But I think he's going to put it all together this year to have a quality season.
Yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who does futures, Dylan Cease is your dark horse Cy Young winner. Today he went 4 innings, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. That's the kind of day. If you have that kind of start, or nothing given up either. If you have that kind of start now, a game that matters, a game that counts. That's you take that all day. 5 innings, 6 innings, a couple strikeouts, 1 walk. One thing with him, I think he's going to get a bit of a jump in innings. Last year was really his first full season because 2019 he was caught up halfway through. 2020, obviously it was the shortened season. So I think I'm excited to watch him make like a bit of a jump kind of in his production and his play this year. I think this is kind of the season where he's going to be able to.
I think they're counting on him being pretty good, and I think they believe he's going to have a step up and be a premium kind of pitcher.
And then kind of working down here, you got the big man, Tonka Trunk. All right, you got Dylan Cease, or not Dylan Cease.
The big man, Dylan Cease, baby,
with his mustache. You know what I mean? You got the big man, Lance Lynn, 6'5", 270, and he just throws different kind of fastball, and it works, man. It just works. Like
he's got like 6 different fastballs that he throws, and he's just a beast. He's like an old school kind of, I'm just going to throw it in the strike zone, and I'm going to throw it right past you.
And he has that south side kind of, he feels like a White Sox player. Like he should have been here on 35th and Shields his whole career. He belongs down here. Well, I know this is a little early, everybody, but I think we won the trade with Dane Dunning and Lance Lynn if they end up getting one.
We'll see what happens with Dane, but
the glasses.
You gotta, do what you gotta do.
But I mean, he is. If you want to talk about somebody who's going to eat a lot of innings and maybe give your bullpen a break every 5 days, that's the
guy. Yep.
He might hit 200 innings this year. He was close last year.
So keep throwing him out there. He's beast. And he's doesn't get hurt a lot. Our pitchers have done a good job of staying healthy, except for Kopech.
Yeah, and I think last year he didn't really have, other than that real weird fluke thing with the mound, he didn't have any arm issues, which was I think the big thing last year. Fans watching him pitch was, except for that like hole in the ground when I thought he blew out his entire knee.
Insane,
can we flatten out the mound, please? What the hell was that? And that was like right near the Nick Madrigal and Luis Robert thing too.
That same thing happened to Dontrell Willis a million years ago too. I remember he hyperextended his knee pitching.
It's a big hole in the mound. Major league.
I think there was a hole. It's just like it took a weird step.
And then, we just got to address it while it's here. Dallas Keuchel, please just be serviceable. We don't even need anything big from you. Serviceable.
Yeah, that's all we need. Just give us serviceable. Give us your best. And I think he does give us his best, but don't walk people. Just, make them get on base.
Yeah, if it's the first 4 batters of the game, don't walk all 4. Make them work for it.
I'd
Find
rather
the zone
just see him
early.
give up 3 home runs in a row than even walk one guy.
Just instead of walking guys around the bags.
Back. I'm like, what? As long as they were all in the zone, because that's where I think he really struggled last year. Is he just could not find the zone sometimes, and then he would finally, throw like a meatball right down the middle.
You guys tee off on 80. If you hang an 85-mile-per-hour cutter in the middle of the zone, these guys are going to tee off on you. Nelson Cruz, he likes that. He's like, yes, please, more that.
Yes, sir. Keep throwing those.
Good pitch. I liked when you did that one. But just be serviceable. I don't care if you get to 100 innings. All right, maybe if you're using Oprah, just don't lose us a game in the first inning. That's really all it is.
Yep.
That's all it is. Because that Cubs game is not going to happen every time where they put up 7 runs in the first and the Sox are like, we got 7.
And I mean, if he can't figure it out, they're going to move on to something else.
Yeah, they have to. This is a World Series window. You don't have time to let him.
Even if it's calling someone up from the minors who I don't even know who it would be, but
Jonathan Stever,
he's hurt right now. Jimmy Lambert, I think.
Jimmy Lambert.
2 guys that I would look to.
Maybe if Andrew Dahlquist makes some big strides kind of between the last 2 seasons,
maybe they make a trade before the season. We still got a couple days.
Sean Manaea, give me that guy. All right, give me him on the south side. Manaea. If we say it wrong, let us know.
Yeah, call in.
Well, I'll give you Matt's number if you mess it up. Just leave
Call
him
in and let us know.
And then to the real strength of this, the top 3 are probably top 4 are real good, but let's go to the real strength of this pitching staff. Is this bullpen is nasty.
Should be. It should be. It's geared up to be nasty.
Should be the best bullpen in baseball. And if Craig Kimbrell can put whatever missing pieces back together, good luck getting on base.
If he could figure it out somehow, this bullpen is going to be locked down, give us a lead in the 7th inning, maybe even the 6th inning, and it's a win. Even if he can't figure it out, the bullpen's going to be pretty good still, unless they, if they discover that Kimbrell did not figure it out and they keep throwing him out there, which is my greatest fear, then the bullpen, he's going to lose a lot of games for us. But I don't think that Tony La Russa is going to do that.
Yeah, I think he'll have a month to kind of show if he's got it together or not.
And there's still a couple days, they might be able to get rid of him. So,
yeah, I mean, I was reading something online that some teams that might be interested in a guy are in Florida, and instead of trading for them and then losing 3 or 4 days to ramp up to travel, pack up and travel across the country, they just leave them with the current team so they can finish ramping up for the season on both ends. Both teams would lose days, and then when the season's that 3-day gap between spring training and opening day, that's when some teams finally pull that trigger and
that makes sense. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, because those are dead days anyways. It's not like they're playing spring training games. So, that kind of left a little hope in me. Because I know the Mets and the Phillies, they need a guy to even take a flyer on, like a Craig Kimbrell. You know what I mean? So, and they're both based out of Florida. So hopefully that's kind of what it is. And I don't really care what we get back from either of those teams. If Craig Kimbrell can't put it together, I'd rather you just contract and have him not.
Yeah, and I'd honestly rather have another team figure it out if he can't do it or not, because we saw plenty of them last year.
Yeah, not what we wanted to see.
It's really bad.
An interesting bullpen arm, I think, who we almost share the same birthday, Ronaldo Lopez, 20 days apart. So, Raylo, if you see this.
Yeah, man, he had a resurgence, and I think he's going to be a key piece here because he could end up being the guy who takes
the fifth spot
for Keuchel, or pitches a lot for Keuchel, might end up being like an opener, on days that, pitchers need rest, something weird happens with the timing. And he looked great last year. Like, he really became a quality player. He's not like amazing. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not the best pitcher, but he's good for what they have him at.
And I think you said this last year. You read online that he had learned a curveball when he went back to Charlotte. And I think adding, anytime a major league pitcher can add like another pitch to their arsenal, and if it's effective, like that's a huge.
Yeah, and I think he also got contacts because he couldn't see the pitch calls.
That's big. Seeing your pitch call is important.
it's good to be on the same page with the catcher,
And he's going to be the guy who, when White Sox look back, and if they have opening or home field advantage for the playoffs, it's going to be because Raylo went out and threw a doubleheader and was lights out. Like, he's not going to be the guy that wins them a World Series, but he's going to be a guy who steals a game or two, and that's going to ultimately be like the difference.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difference between home field advantage and not, is like having those kind of bridge guys that fill in. Those glue guys. You got to have the glue guys.
Yeah, you got to have the glue, the puzzle glue. I had that as a kid. Fun fact. I did a lot of puzzles. I had puzzle glue. He's a puzzle glue guy.
Puzzles.
They're like pictures, but you make the pictures.
You make the pictures. You put them together.
You put the pictures together. Couple new faces. Vince Velazquez. I don't expect a ton from him. I think he's like they're getting blown out. They're going to throw him out, almost like Jose Ruiz last year.
I hope
just
that's
like an
the
extra.
plan. I hope that's the plan.
I hope so too, because he had a 5.5 ERA last year coming out of the pen, and that is not what I want.
Training. He
not at
served
all.
up a batting practice ball to Shohei Ohtani in the game that I watched. So, and then continued to get rocked.
Yeah. And then the big newcomer we'll skip. We'll go to our lefties. Garrett Crochet and Aaron Bummer, the two big left-handed arms out of the pen. I mean, thoughts there?
Aaron Bummer's a stud. He's probably one of the best left-handed relievers in Major League Baseball. Almost unhittable when he's throwing the pitch that he wants. When he's controlling his pitches, and when he's got it, he's very hard to hit. And, he gives up soft contact. So he's awesome. I love Aaron Bummer. He got bit by the bad luck bug last year too. He had he's given up a lot of soft contact that ended up kind of just like dribbling through somehow. So I think he's a stud. I think he's extremely underrated also. Like, he's one of the best relievers in the majors.
Criminally underrated. Criminally looked over. And it's because he plays on the wrong side of Chicago. That's it. Anybody who's curious about that, if he was a Cub, his face would be everywhere.
Yeah, he's a very handsome man. He's very handsome.
He's a very handsome man. His advice, jawline. And then, we kind of touched on him already, but Garrett Crochet, huge season for him, kind of, in general for the team, but just for him advancing to what I'm assuming is ultimately going to be a starting role, and kind of reading online, like the team plans to stretch him out a little bit, and kind of where do you think he's going to kind of land in the whole plan this year?
I don't really know. It looks like they're gearing him up to be coming out of the pen. Hopefully he doesn't have to be an emergency starter. But that's another guy that could fill in for Keuchel if Keuchel's trash. Another guy, he's a stud too. Garrett Crochet is a stud out of the bullpen. He was great last year. Earlier in the season when it was just him and Kopech, it seemed like they brought him in every game for an inning, and they were a shutdown. And hopefully we see more of that. Hopefully we see Crochet kind of grow. I can't wait to see him as a starter. I think he's going to be really good. But as a reliever, he's done everything you asked him for, and really all you're asking for is a repeat of last year, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was kind of looking at some of his advanced stats, like with the pitches he threw. Huge, obviously fastball slider guy, but if he could kind of work that change up in a little bit more, even if it's, I think his fastball, probably 6% of the time, slider was another 30, and throwing that change up here and now and again. But I mean, if he can kind of even split the two between the changeup and slider, that is, I don't know how you read it out of the hand at that point. Even though his release point is like high and outside, you know what I mean? Like if he can just even work that pitch in, like he doesn't have to be a great pitch, just work it in a little bit. And he has a guy like Lucas to learn from. I mean, it's like the changeup guy.
That's Lucas Giolito, I think, is going to be huge kind of just for these young guys because he's like just like a student of the game and really knows what he's doing. And he struggled. I think that's good. Like when he retires, he could become a coach, you know, because he struggled and then like retooled and figured everything out. Which a lot of guys never have to do that. And that's kind of a huge thing for like coaching. That's like why a lot of coaches are not the best players in the majors, like in any sport really, because it's hard. If you're like Michael Jordan, it's hard to coach because you're just like, yeah, just go out there and score 25 points in the fourth quarter and hit the game winner. Like that's what I do. Just do that. But like, you know, some people need to be coached. They can't do that.
I agree with that, man. Lucas is like, I mean, he is, if you want to talk about the cornerstone of the pitching staff, that's a part of why your World Series window is so open. Cause like guys just learn from him. He looks like a leader. He looks like a dad kind of, you know what I mean? Like he looks like an adult, like a professional. And I love that about Lucas.
Yeah. And the players love him and respect him. And, you know, he's like, seems like such a down-to-earth kind of cool guy that he's like the perfect teammate, it seems like. And when you
have such a jump where the guy who kind of helped you fix it is now the pitching coach for the team, that speaks like volumes, I think. Just a massive amount. God, I love Lucas Giolito. He's so sick.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And then
they haggled over $50,000.
Jesus Christ! Just raise the hot dogs at the UC and the rate by a nickel. No one will notice it. There you go. Boom.
I'm gonna give him like $5,000 just in beers this year, probably.
Like, just figure it out, man. And then you got two. I think are arguably probably your two biggest guys. One's a newcomer, and you know we all know who the other one is. We got Joe Kelly and Liam Hendricks. And Joe Kelly, I think, is I loved Joe Kelly on every other team he plays. He has a swagger about him. He has a good attitude. Like he has the attitude you want for somebody who comes in on 7th, 8th inning and be like, I'm just going to shut the shit down and take it to the next guy. And he is super pumped about Joe Kelly.
Yep, and he's got the attitude, you know. He's got the attitude, the South Side attitude. So I think he's a great addition. I really didn't expect them to sign him.
Shocked.
But, you know, they just kind of bolstered their bullpen. They said we need some playoff experience in the bullpen, and this is like probably the guy who has the most that they could get.
Oh, and we're missing somebody. He's not even on the roster. Speaking of people they added this offseason, Kendall Graven. He's not on their bullpen.
Oh, yeah. Why is he not on
here? Kendall Graven, welcome to Southside. Let's clap it up for Kendall, everybody.
The first signing.
They didn't put you on the roster. He's looked unhittable this spring training. Think about if I'm in a opposing team. I don't know. But imagine this, like, you know, Lucas goes 6 and gives up like 1, and then you got like a 2-run lead. You got Graveman, Kelly, and our boy from down under. Liam Hendricks.
Lego
Liam, who watches the same episode of Bones every time he's in a hotel room. Hasn't finished it.
I love Lego Liam. I think he's awesome, and he is a shutdown guy.
He's just a stud.
A lot of guys that shut it down, which is really what you're looking for.
And I don't know what he chews on, but it's like a big rubber black thing, and he just throws gas and really hard sliders. And love Lego Liam. Anytime he comes to the game,
crushes ass. You know what I mean? What a guy!
All right, that's what we do. Okay, White Sox. in the spool pen, we throw gas and crush ass. All right, but with a really cool accent from Australia.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it
That's
on
how
the
we
south
do
side.
it. Just we'll throw it out there to wrap up the episode here. If you were gonna give the pitching staff like projected whole staff grade, what do you expect from the staff? Like, what kind of performance would you expect?
I think that fifth starter is going to probably give us some trouble. So I think like we're going to get like a B performance out of the starters.
Yeah.
Kopech is kind of a question. I'm not going to say he's a question mark, but like he's to prove himself as a top line guy that we know he can be. So I'll go with the B for the starters.
I'd agree with that, B or B plus. Kopech has to show what he can do in Dallas. Like that's such a big. If Dallas is like serviceable and Kopech like is a stud, then that's we could get an A out of him. But I would expect sitting here today probably like a B from that pitching, the starting staff, and then the bullpen. I think they're going to be an A. I think it's like I think that's a shutdown crew.
I think I'm going to give it a B plus just because Kimbrel's in there right now, and I'm very worried about that.
Maybe they just like leave him in Arizona until he figures it out. They just make him throw at a wall until he can.
Like, that's the part that worries me the most about the bullpen is like if Kimbrel struggles and then they keep throwing him out there, like at the end of the year last year.
Yeah,
they kept throwing him out there, and like 3 or 4 games because of it. And
then they cost them home field advantage against the Astros. Like that is huge. That was massive. You play games 1 and 2 on the South Side, and it's different. Guarantee that. Book that. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I'm super pumped about this team though. The pitching staff I think is one of the best in baseball. Couple question marks, and like 3 probably pretty pivotal guys, but hopefully that kind of all comes together. And
every team is going to have question marks. Even World Series winners have question marks. I think the White Sox question marks are not any bigger than other contenders. I think we're geared up for a run.
I think so too. I think we're about to all have a lot of fun on 35th here. I think there's going to
be a lot of wins. I think if you go to the game, there's going to be a good chance they win it.
And that's what you want to see. You go to a baseball game, you want to see your team win.
Yeah, and they're not going to win all of them, but
hopefully win most of them.
If they win
95 of them,
a whole bunch,
97 of them, real good team.
Yeah, they might win. I think they might win 100 of them. That's cool.
They might. These question marks end up becoming exclamation points. That's 100. That's potentially 100 wins.
And if they win 100 of them and they have a really good home record, really good chance of seeing a win at the stadium.
And in October. That's right. That's the big one. And we're not going to bring back anybody who plays DH worse than a pitcher would have batted. So
that is true.
Any parting words for our listeners?
Parting words.
Words of wisdom to improve their lives.
Excuse me, yawning. I don't think I have any of those for anyone ever. But what I will say, some people are probably upset about Goose Island and Anheuser-Busch and Bud products leaving the stadium. But I will say that, for one, I'm extremely happy. I love enjoying a nice cold Miller Lite at the White Sox game. It's been a long few years since they kind of switched over. I'm kind of upset they got rid of the Goose Head, but extremely happy for that switch. So good job, Miller, for getting back in the stadium. And
you can even get some hams now. Hans? What's that? What's that one? Hams. You can get hams now too.
They have hams too?
That's a Miller product.
Is it?
Yeah, well, the Miller owns the company. Like, it's like a whole, seems like pyramid scheme, really, but
yeah, pretty much the whole world's a pyramid scheme when you think about it.
So, and that's it, folks. Thanks for listening, and let's go White Sox.
Let's go White Sox. Woo, 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 woo.